Thanks, Helen. Right, let me share my screen with you. So for Microsoft Teams, the session today does assume that you've got sort of limited knowledge of it. So apologies if I cover anything that you already know. But what we're going to do within Teams is effectively we will work our way down through the different areas that come within Teams, bit of an explanation and demo of what these different areas are for and what they do. So navigating around within Teams, as I say, the icons that run down this top left corner, and you just simply click onto the area you want to go into. So your activity, so this will show things like if somebody's reacted to a message that I've sent them, somebody specifically mentioned me. It would also show me things like if somebody had tried to call me, it would tell me that I've got a missed call. So activity essentially is anything that's happened within the Teams platform that I haven't seen yet. So if you see a little marker against activity, it just tells you there's something in there. So moving into chat. So chat, very much like, for example, your Outlook inbox, if you've got any unread messages, it will leave you a little marker to say, in this case, I've got one unread message. So if I go into my chat, it then shows me my historic chat. It gives me some suggestions of other people internally that I might want to chat with. Chat can be configured so that it's only for internal use, or you can allow it to chat with external people as well. The beauty of using Microsoft Teams chat, especially internally, is it cuts down immensely on internal emails. Certainly at Quiss, since the introduction of Teams, internal email pretty much no longer exists. All internal communications, unless we're on a call, are very much done in chat. So your Outlook inbox can then be used for the external and the client-facing work. So within here, I've got a group chat called Staff Questionnaire. I've had a chat with Bob from HR. If I click onto it, I can go back and review my historic chat. The one from Sarah in marketing that's in bold indicates it's a new message and I've not read it yet. So I can click to see what Sarah from marketing's had to say. So if I wanted to reply to Sarah, I can just simply down at the bottom, I can type my message. So if I say, so I'll have to tell her, as you can see, it runs a spell check as well. Within my chat, there's little icons along the end. There's some simple formattings. So I can do things like I can make text bold, italic, underline, etc. I can create simple bulleted or numbered lists. I can insert emojis, GIFs, stickers, loop components. This is really handy for collaborative working. So rather than having an internal email conversation, I can chat with Sarah. Loop components let me build a more structured thing, like I want to put a task list or a checklist, bulleted list. I want to put a table in here. I want to let collaborators vote on ideas. So it takes chat to a further level where you're collaborating with people within your team. The little plus icon will also let me attach files. So just like with an email, if I wanted to share a file within this conversation, I can go and grab a file. It'll show me anything that I've uploaded, I've looked at recently. I can go to I can go to files that I've got in the cloud. So if I've got files on OneDrive, or I can upload them directly from my machine. So if I've got a file on my desktop that I wanted to share, I can just go and upload it. So I'll just go and grab. I'm going to share this. Actually, I'm going to share this Word document. So I'll open this. So it gives me a little preview, and it by default, it tells me with my sharing. So Anybody within my organization that's got this link can view this document. So I'm not giving them editing rights, I'm just sharing it with them to view it. I can, however, say, actually, I want to collaborate, you can edit it, or I can suggest that they can review it. So they can suggest changes, but it won't let them save them. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to say, I want to collaborate with Sarah on this document. I'm going to say that she can edit it. I can apply this and I can send the message. And it would drops into my conversation history. So now Sarah in marketing will be able to access this document, open it, edit it, save it. I can come back into this chat and open it up and I'd be able to see any changes that she's made. If I wanted to instigate a completely new conversation, just up at the top in chat on the right hand side, there's a little, I think it's supposed to look like a pen or a pencil pointing at a sheet of paper. So I can create a new chat. Addressing my chat, it is as simple as I type the name of the person that I want to chat with. So if I wanted to chat with, I just type, it does an instant lookup and it finds, so I want to chat with Jane in sales. This is a completely new conversation. So this would be a one-to-one chat. So the only people that can access our conversation would be me and Jane from sales. I can set up what's called a group chat. So it might be, actually, I want to chat with Bob as well. So I could add Bob. I might include Mike. And I'm going to include John from sales. So you can set up a chat with as many different people as you want to. Type your message. All 4 people would receive a little notification in their chat that I've sent them a new message. I'll just call this it's a test message and I'll send it. So your chat messages are always in date order. So the most recent thing will always be at the top of the list. As I say, they will now receive a notification in their chat that I've sent them a new message. The thing with group chat though is my conversation is called Bob, Jane, John, plus 2 others. I might not have any idea what it is we're talking about. So if I create another new chat, because I've got this one called staff questionnaire, with a group chat over on the right hand side, if you click the little drop down, you can give your chat a name. So if I call this, I'll call it chat demo, and I'll include Sarah, I'll include Mike, and I'll include John from sales. I'll call it a demo chat. I'll send the message. Just like with an email conversation, I've now got a topic of my conversation rather than it's a chat with a group of people. So it does give you the option, if you're chatting about a particular topic, when you create your chat, you can give it a name so that it's a topic of conversation. Something else to be aware of with group chats. So if I use this one as an example, so it tells me it's called chat demo, and up in the right hand side, it tells me that there are 4 people within this chat. So if I click onto this, I can view who's within this chat. I can add more people. If it's a group chat that goes off topic that I then think this isn't something that I'm interested in anymore and it's clogging up my chat, I could leave the chat. However, if I want to add more people to an ongoing chat, and it wouldn't matter whether you've named it or if it's just a group chat, it could be a one-to-one chat that you want to include a new person in. When I go to add people, it will ask me, who do I want to share it with? So I'm going to share this with Bob from HR. It gives me the option of, do I want to include the chat history from a certain number of days, all of the chat history, or actually we've just changed the topic of this conversation and I don't want to share the rest of the conversation that's gone on in the past. So it does give me the option of how much I'd want to share or how little, or do I want to share absolutely everything so that they can go back through the history of the conversation to see all of the detail. Okay, and I'm going to include 1 days. It also gives you detail of I'm Quiss Demo. I added Sarah in marketing and 2 others. I changed the name to chat demo. It also tells me who's added somebody else to the chat. It would show me if somebody had left as well. So you get the full history of what's happened within your chat. Other things that we can do within chat. So within my group chat might be we're having a discussion and we think actually it'd be better to have a call and discuss it. So up in the top right where it tells me how many participants I've got, I have got the option to say I want to meet now with all of these people. If I click on the little drop down and I can choose, do I want a video call with them or an audio call? So I can set up an impromptu video meeting with everybody that's within this particular chat. And it works whether it's an individual person. So I get exactly the same option. I can video call or audio call in this case within my chat with Bob. I've said, are you free anytime? And he said after 3:30. So just after 3:30, I could just video call him. I don't need to send him a meeting invitation. Okay. So that's pretty much chat. One thing just to be aware of, if you share documents within a Teams chat, so this document I uploaded from my desktop. What it has done is it's put this document into my OneDrive and it shared it with Sarah from marketing from that location. So it's just one to be aware of. If you've shared a document in a Teams chat and it was stored on your desktop, you haven't shared the version that is still sat on your desktop. It's put a copy of it in your OneDrive and it's being shared from there. Especially important to note, if you've given them edit rights and they edit it, if you open the version that's on your desktop, you won't see any of those changes. You will only see them within your chat. Okay, so moving on from chat into Teams itself. So within Teams, and it's always strange terminology, within Teams, you can be a member of multiple different teams. So in this case, I'm a member of a marketing group team, and I'm a member of Quiss Technology PLC demo. Within each team, you will have what's called channels. So every team will have a general channel, and you can then add further channels. So channels are very often they're topics of conversation or they're topics of a specific area of information sharing. So in this case, in my Quiss Technology PLC demo, in the general channel, Mike, the boss, has posted to say, welcome, hi, I'm going to use this to post updates for everyone and cut down on internal email. So channels, they can be used almost as an internal posting board. So a lot of our customers will have, for example, there's a general channel, they might have a social channel, they may well have channels for charity work. They're generally topics of conversation. A lot of customers have a channel, very often it's either Top Tip Tuesday or Top Tip Thursday for posting notes each week for shortcuts for IT related applications. Within Quiss, we have one called Wellbeing Wednesday. So each Wednesday within the channel, there's a post for things around things like mental health, etc. So within these channels, you can start posts, which is what Mike's done. It will also allow you to react. So as you can see, Bob from HR reacted with a happy face. Kiss Demo put a grinning face with big eyes. Kiss Demos also replied. So these channels, in their simplest form, as I say, it's an internal notice board. The beauty of them is, rather than sending an all-staff email that invariably gets lost in people's inbox or they just don't see it, if you post it into a channel, it gives them a dedicated and simple area to go and look for these updates, be it a departmental update or a firm-wide update. The other thing that we can do within channels is we can store files within here. So as a standard setting within channels, we'd have posts for posting messages that we can reply to. We'll also have a tab where we can store files. So within here, in my general, I've got a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, and I've got a couple of Word documents. So it tells me when they were modified, tells me who last modified it. So within this general channel, everybody that is a member of the Quiss Technology PLC demo team has access to these files. So if I wanted to go and look at one of these files, for example, Excel 2016, I can go and open this. So if I click onto the label, it'll open it up, opens it online. And the thing to note with this is files that are stored within Teams, so I'll just quickly jump back. Files that are stored within here, if they're editable Excel, Word, PowerPoint, etc., where Teams talks about being a collaboration tool, this is where it comes into its own. So if I just switch back to this Excel file, because files that are stored within Teams will allow multiple people to work in the same file at the same time. So I've opened this up, I can click round, I can edit anything that I want. But if you notice, just up on the ribbon, over on the right-hand side, there's a little icon, and it tells me that Bob from HR has also got this workbook open. Now, if I jump over to be Bob, I can see Quiss Demo has got that particular cell selected. I jump back over to now that Bob's done something. So it will tell me where that other person is in this file. And it works nicely with Excel because it selects the cell that they're in, but it works exactly the same way in a document. So if you've got a lengthy document, rather than having the email ping pong of sending it backwards and forwards to make changes, you can work on it together, whether it's 2 people, 3, 4 people, you can all open it and you can all collaboratively work on it at the same time. And it tells you who's got it open and tells you where they are within the file. So any changes that are made, as soon as it's saved, it will update to show you the changes. You can put comments in to speak to each other. You can also use this catch-up. So if there's any new comment activity directed at me or something's been changed, I can use this. If I've not been into the file for a little while and I want to see, okay, what's been happening in it, you can use this catch up and it will show you changes that have happened while you didn't have it open. So it's an incredibly powerful tool for working on files with other people. So let me jump back over to our Teams. So as I say, and it works with Excel, with Word, etc. We can upload files, and it is just simply a case of, do I want to upload a file, a folder, a document template, and I can just browse to my machine, grab it, and upload it. Other things that we can do with our files, editing in grid view would let me en masse go and change file names, for example. So that's editing grid view if I want to change file names. Sharing them, I select a document and I can share it. This will let me, so I'm going to say, I want to share this with Bob from HR. I don't want him to view, I want him to be able to edit it. I can add a message. It will ping him over an email, but it doesn't attach a copy of the file. It sends him a link to it. So another advantage of using this over email is if I share this with Bob, and actually I'll just go in and share it. I'm going to say you can edit it. I'm sharing this with Bob. I'll ask him to review the document and send it. So I've just invited Bob in HR to edit this document. I don't need to move it from here. Bob is already a member of the team, so he'll be able to access it. But the beauty is what Bob receives is a link. Bob clicks the link, he opens this version of the document. He doesn't then have one attached to an email that he then saves on his desktop, and we end up with two disparate versions of the same file. So working on it within here, everybody is always working on the same version of the file. I can copy a link to it, so I could paste it into a standard email and send it over. I can make it into a tab. Now, that's useful. And what I'll do is with this Excel file, so in this case, I'm going to say this Excel file is used by multiple people within my team. To save them the trouble of having to open it, I can make this file a tab within this channel. So if I go and make it a tab, I now get a new tab. When I click it, my Excel file effectively is now embedded within my team's channel. Again, we've got the collaborative working. I can see that Bob from HR is in here. But now all I would need to do is come into the general channel, go to Excel. I can view it. I can see changes that have been made. I can update it. And again, everybody is working on the same version of the file. I can go to the different tabs within it. So it behaves just like a standard Excel file. Difference is I just need to come into here to access it. I don't need to browse to a folder to double click and remember to open it. I can make it as a tab. If I wanted to remove it, I can click on the little drop down. I could rename it and I can remove it as well. So the flexibility of using channels comes into its own with it's an internal posting board. I can reply. I don't need to send internal emails. Files that I'm working on with colleagues or that I want to share with everybody within the firm, I can store files within here. And if it's something that I need people to be able to quickly and easily access or work on, I can embed it as a tab within my channel. You can also add additional tabs to channels. So if I go and add a tab, so there is a whole raft of additional apps that you can plug into Teams channels. So a very common one is OneNote. So if I'm working on a channel for a particular project, for example, and I need somewhere for everybody to be able to make some notes, I can add a OneNote, or I could add a whiteboard for people to scribble on. I could add a link to a website. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a note. I'm going to create a new one. And I'm going to call it, a demo notepad and save it. So within here, we can share ideas, but rather than them being sort of the formal posts, I've now got effectively a notepad that people can scribble ideas on. They can draw into it. They can insert files and links. So if they've found a particularly useful article on a web page, for example, they can insert a link to it. Rather than having a conversation, we've now got a shared notepad where we can all type in, we can draw pictures, etc. So we can use notes within here. If I go back to my posts, and there's well over 2,000 different apps that you can plug into Teams channels or into Teams itself. The other thing that we can do with channels, just like within chat, is we can set up calls. So up in the top right corner, I click on the little drop down. I can set up to meet now, or I can schedule a meeting within this channel. So again, it comes back to if I had a channel for a particular project I'm working on and we're going to have a project meeting, if I go and schedule a meeting, so I would add the title, add the attendees, choose the date and time, but it would post the detail of this meeting in this channel. So everybody who's got access to it would be able to see any notes that were taken in the meeting, who attended. If it was recorded, they'd have access to the meeting recording. So it's a very handy way of, if I've got a channel for my department, we have a departmental meeting. If I save that meeting in the channel, people who couldn't attend will still be able to access it, and it's easily accessible. It's in one central location. Okay. If I wanted to add new channels, this is very much dependent on permissions. So everywhere within Teams, when you see the three little dots, it just means that there are more options behind this. So I can go in and add a channel, and I can give it a name. So I'm just going to call this demo channel. You don't have to put a description in, and you can choose a channel type. So there's a standard, everyone within this team has access, or you can set it as private. And all of this is configurable at the very top level of Teams, that you can prevent people from creating private channels if you wanted to. I'm going to set this as standard, because with a private channel, you invite people to access it. But the danger of them is you can set up a channel that only half of the team can access. Because the back end of Teams, the storage area for files, sits in SharePoint. Because of the way 365 works, if you don't have permission to something, you don't see it. So with a private channel, if you're not teeth in and try again. If you've not been added to that channel, you wouldn't even know it exists. So where we'd mentioned on a future one, we're going to look at SharePoint. When I create a new channel, in the background of Teams, it creates a SharePoint library to store any files that I put in there. So go into these files. So if you notice, there is an option I can open them in SharePoint. So although I view them here, they're physically stored in SharePoint in the background. The other thing that we've got with files is it will also give me the option that I can download things. So if I wanted a copy on my desktop for any reason, I can download it from here. But it's just to make you aware, Teams is very much the nice visual front end, but the actual files are stored in SharePoint behind it. Okay, so that's our Teams. So always have a general channel. We can create other channels. We can post, people can reply and react to it. But as I say, it's all about collaborative working. And if you need to post something for lots of people to see, it cuts out the all staff email. You can post it into here and it will remain there until you go in and delete it. Okay, we'll move along and go to look at the calendar. So your Teams calendar automatically synchronizes with your Outlook calendar. So any meetings or appointments that you put in within Outlook automatically synchronize across into Teams. So setting up a new meeting within Teams, you've got two options. You can meet now, or you can schedule a new meeting. Meet now is effectively calling somebody up, but it gives me all of my meeting tools. So if I go to meet now, it's going to be a meeting with Quiss Demo. You can change this, and I can start my meeting. So on this screen, so I'll just drag this over. I get my options. It's going to use this headset that I've got plugged in. It's going to use my camera, and I can join the meeting. It will prompt me to invite people to join. So it's telling me my camera isn't working, but that's okay. Okay, so I've set up this impromptu meeting. I go into people. I can then invite people to come and join this meeting instantly. And I can leave. Or I can schedule a new meeting. Now it is split. The main part of the button, I schedule a new meeting, which is open on this screen. I add a title for my meeting. I'll just call this, it's a test meeting. My required attendees. For internal people, I just simply start typing their name. It will look them up. And Sarah from marketing. If you notice, it tells me at the moment at 2 o'clock, Bob from HR is free, and so is Sarah. My demo system doesn't give me any suggestions. If I was in my live system, Teams would go and look at Bob and Sarah's calendar and tell me if they're not available, when they would be available. So let's try changing this to 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, it tells me that they're both busy. So I'll adjust this. 4 o'clock. Okay, they're both free at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to have my meeting from 4 till 4:30. Gives me the options. Does it repeat? So if it's a recurring weekly, monthly meeting, I can set this up. Gives me, I can add it into a channel. So if I wanted to record the detail of this meeting in a channel, I can record it. My location, I don't need to fill in because it's going to be an online Teams meeting. I put in any details for it. And at the bottom, if I wanted to add an agenda, let's just maximize this. So within here, I can add an agenda. I can add meeting notes. I can even build in follow-up tasks to be done after the meeting. Over on the right-hand side, we have this thing of who can bypass the lobby. My default setting is people within my organization and guests of my organization. This is when they click the link to join the meeting, if they're outside of my organization, they would get a message, and you've probably seen this, to say that Teams has let the people in the meeting know you're waiting and somebody will let you in, and it would need somebody from within my organization to admit them. Very much like a physical meeting in an office. They'd walk into reception and they'd wait for somebody to come and collect them. There is the option to say, actually, everybody can join. They click the link, they join straight into the meeting. Okay. There is also an option that I can record and transcribe automatically. So when the meeting starts, it will automatically be recorded and it will be transcribed as well, so that there's both a recording and a written transcription of what was said in the meeting. And I'd simply send my invite. And it drops into my calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join this meeting and then I'll come back to town halls and webinars. So if I join this meeting, bring this over onto the screen. I'll turn my camera off and I'll just join. Okay, so within my meeting, I can access the agenda, the notes. So if I wanted to make notes as the meeting's going on, I can take my notes, I can add bullet points. After the meeting, these would be available for me to access. So I can add notes, I can add follow-up tasks if we've agreed that somebody's going to do something. As you've probably seen previously, we can also have text-based chat within the meeting. I can see people who are currently in the meeting, and I can ad hoc invite other people in. If I want to raise my hand, in the people, it would tell me who's got their hand raised. I can click it again to lower it. I can react. So if I didn't want to speak, I can give things like a thumbs up, I can applaud, I can laugh, I can be surprised. Within my view, I can change how it's viewed. I can switch my notes on and off. So meeting notes is particularly useful if you don't need a full transcription, but what you do want is just some general sort of high level notes of things that have been agreed, etc. You can pop those notes in and you can access them afterwards. Breakout rooms. So it will even let me, if I've got a lot of people in here, it might be an internal training session that partway through, we're going to break out and discuss in separate groups. We can put people into breakout groups, breakout rooms. I can add apps. So there's things like timers. There's a whole raft of them that we can add in. And then under more, in here we've got options for, at any point, I can start recording the meeting. I can start a transcription. So if I want a text-based review of the meeting, I can have Teams transcribe everything that's been said. My video effects and settings. So I can set my background, and you can upload your own background if you wanted to. I can go into my audio settings. So I can adjust things like volume, my microphone, noise suppression is switched on automatically. So if there's traffic noise or building noise, dogs barking, for example, it would suppress this. And then under language and speech, there is something called live captions, which is especially useful if there's anybody within the meeting that, let's say, for example, somebody's hearing impaired. With show live captions, it tells me that live captions are on, and it live transcribes what is being said within the meeting. So this can be used as the meeting is going on, or you can set it to transcribe it and you can download a copy after the meeting. And as you can see, it is pretty accurate.
James, it's Helen just jumping in here. Can I ask a quick question about that?
Of course, yeah.
Is that something that has to be set up by the meeting organizer, or is that something that somebody who is coming in and attending can set up for themselves once they're in? Do you know?
It would depend on the initial meeting settings. So it can be configured to say anybody can switch this on.
Great, thank you.
And I can hide them again. So yeah, it's just under more language and speech, and you can show live captions. As I say, the other option that you can, or you as well as, you could also start it to transcribe it. So after the meeting, you would also be able to download a text-based version rather than just the on-screen ones. Okay, we can turn our camera on and off, mute a microphone. Screen sharing within a meeting. So within screen sharing, I can share a screen. So as you can see on mine, I've got dual screens. So I could share my laptop screen or this main screen. It also tells me currently I've got 10 different windows open. This is very much dependent on what you're wanting to do within your meeting. So if you're going to be wanting to, let's say, for example, you want to move between a Word document, an email, an Excel spreadsheet, back to a different document, in which case you would share one of your screens, or if you've got two screens. If you only want to share one single document without the risk of accidentally switching to email and accidentally showing people a confidential message, you would go with a window and you would choose which one of those windows you want to share. It wouldn't then matter what you've got on your screen. The people in the meeting would only ever see that one window. So it depends. If it's a case of I only want to share this one document for people to look at, I would go with a window. If I want the flexibility of being able to switch between different applications, I would choose a screen and then just decide, in this case, I've got two, I'd decide which screen I want to include. There is the option to include sound as well. So if you were playing, for example, audio or video, you can also include your system sound. Okay, the final one for our meeting, so I can leave. If I click on the little drop down though, because I was the meeting organizer, I can also end the meeting. So if I just leave, I would leave the meeting. Other people don't necessarily have to leave at the same time. They could stay on and continue talking. So if I've got external people in and I don't want them to leave them in my meeting, at the end I can just say I want to end the meeting, and it's going to end the meeting at once for everyone. That's the meeting ended. Okay, and then the other types of meeting that we've got. So if I click on the little drop down, I can schedule a meeting. We've also got a webinar, and we've got something called a town hall. So for meetings, Teams will allow meetings depending on your plan. If you've got a standard business plan, you can have up to 300 people in a meeting. If you've got an enterprise plan, you can have up to 1,000. With webinars, by default, you can have up to 1,000 people in a webinar. Town hall, as it suggests, produce an event for a large audience. Town halls, you can have up to 10,000 people within an event. The difference with them is, with town halls and webinars, you would have the option of a webinar, of a lobby. You would have the option that attendees can use their cameras and microphones. Webinars aren't encrypted. You can have registration for webinars. You can't have breakout rooms. With content sharing and interaction, you can, just like in meetings and with webinars, you can share your screen, you can interact, you can react, etc. Town halls doesn't do any of those. Town hall is literally, I want to share my screen with everybody within it. The only sort of content sharing and interaction, town halls have a Q&A option. So depending on what you want, town hall is essentially, it's a huge event where I want sort of minimal interaction of people can just ask questions. With a webinar, much more interactive, but we can have up to 1,000 people and people would register to attend rather than accept a meeting invitation. Okay. So that's our meetings. Calls, very similar to meetings. I can call people. So if I choose Bob in HR as an example, I can call up Bob. Teams would pop up with a notification to say that Quiss Demo is calling. He can either accept or reject it. We join as a call. We can switch with a call. We can switch between video and audio. We can also do things like screen sharing. The difference with it is it doesn't give us the option of things like meeting notes, but it does give us the flexibility of I want a quick call with somebody because I might want to share my screen with them. I don't want to go to the trouble of scheduling a meeting. I can just call them. The other thing with calls is I can set up a quick and easy impromptu conference call. So, and it might be with Mike as well. I'll call all three of them. With these, it will call all three of these people at the same time. If only one of them answers, the call goes ahead. But as I say, it gives you that flexibility of, I just want to do a quick screen share to review something with you. I can call them up. If I want to change my mind, I can remove them. Call history gives you your call history, missed calls, incoming calls, outgoing calls. And also Teams has built-in voicemail. You don't have to record your own message, but you can. But with the voicemail, it also transcribes it as well. So if somebody leaves you a voicemail, you would see a transcribed message as well as being able to listen to their messages. Okay, and then settings. So within Teams, up at the top, we've got our account manager for me, and I've got settings and more, the three little dots. So if I go into settings, so within here, I've got options for captions and transcriptions. But one of the most common ones is notifications. So do I want it to play a sound? Do I want it to display notifications? Do I want a missed activity email? So this would be somebody sent me a message and I've not seen it, or I've missed a call from somebody within Teams. I can choose how often Teams notifies me that I've missed something. So the default is it's once an hour. You can set it to say, tell me straight away, 10 minutes every 8 hours, once a day, or you can turn it off if you don't want these notifications. Chat message notifications. So I can turn them off. The show in banner just gives me a little pop-up mentions. So mentions we would use within chat. I'll show you an example of a mention. If I go in this staff questionnaire, so where I see this little at, and Sarah from marketing has mentioned me, I reply and I do an at Sarah marketing, and send it. Using the at symbol, and you can use this if you're using 365 and you've got Outlook and Teams, you can also use it in Outlook messages, especially handy in a group chat. This will ping a notification to Sarah to say that I've mentioned her specifically in this chat. But within my settings, I can choose whether I get notified about those. Okay. Your Outlook out of office will also synchronize with your Teams out of office. So if you put anything in your Outlook calendar that says you're out of office, Teams will also show you as being out of office. And to do that, you can change these. So in my account manager, so at the moment it says I'm busy because it's synchronized with my Outlook calendar. My Quiss demo calendar has got a meeting in at the moment. I can swap it to say I'm available if I don't want to be disturbed. If I set do not disturb, if anybody calls me, it will route it straight to voicemail. I won't get any notifications about Teams chats, about missed calls. I would need to remember to turn it off. I can set it to say, I'm going to be right back. I can appear as though I'm away, and I can appear as though I'm offline, which is I'm not even logged into my laptop, and I can set this for a duration. So it might be, I want to set do not disturb for an hour. It will automatically switch this off for me after an hour. So I can buy myself some time of, I don't want to be disturbed with notifications, with calls, etc. for the next hour. It will turn it off automatically when I come back. Sorry, after an hour. I can set my work location. So am I in the office? Am I working remotely? Which is a handy one, especially for teams where if you've got hybrid working and you're not sure, is somebody in the office or are they at home? You can specify in Teams to let people know, actually, I'm working remotely today. And it would show it within your calendar so that people would know that you're not at your desk. And you can set a status message as well, which was handy for things like do not disturb. I'll just set this back. I'll say I'm available and say I've finished with my meeting. Okay, that is pretty much Microsoft Teams. There is additional areas for if you're a Teams owner for being able to add and remove team members, setting permissions in channels, whether or not team members can create channels. You can control whether or not people can add tabs to channels. So all of that can be configured by at a sort of an admin level as an owner, that within Teams, if you didn't want people to go in and add their own channels, it can be locked down. Similarly, you can lock down whether or not people can post as well. So if you wanted a notice board that can only be added to by certain people, that can be configured to be locked down as well. But the Teams owners would probably be more of a separate session. It's not too in-depth or complex. What I would say is, if you're new to starting using Teams, do put some thought into what teams you want and who you want to be a member of them, what channels you want, and do you want to allow people to create their own channels, or do you want to keep control of it? Because if you do allow anybody to create channels, you can quickly lose control of what's happening within the team and where files are stored, etc. Okay, but thank you all very much. I believe there were a few questions posted before the session.
Yes, that's right, James. I don't think we've had any in the chat as yet, but by all means, anybody, if you're listening, I'm aware we've got about 5 more minutes before we close. So if you've got a burning question, please do pop that in now and we'll try and raise that. But yes, we had some questions in earlier, James. I think some of them you may have sort of addressed as you went through. I don't know if there's any on that list that we sent you earlier, which you haven't specifically addressed that you wanted to look at.
There was one question on how do you use Shared Planner?
Yeah.
There is an app that can be plugged into Teams that's called Planner and To Do, which is effectively a sort of a time project management tool. It would almost be a session on its own, assuming that is what they were meaning by planner, or whether or not it was a shared calendar. But there is an app called Planner and To Do, which it's very easy to use, but it's really handy for assigning tasks to people and being able to sort of track and monitor progress on tasks being done by multiple people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, James. And just to say to everybody, obviously we've got a number of these sessions coming up on various parts of the Microsoft Substack and other things as well. If there is something that you're coming across in your day-to-day work and you'd like us to look at, then please do let us know. Right, I can see we've got another question in. Let's just have a quick So a question in, how do you retrieve the transcripts made of meetings? And James, I would also add to that, where would the recording be stored of a particular meeting as well?
So once your meeting is finished, it will appear within your chat. So for example, here's my Quiss Demp that I joined. It would tell me attendance. In this case, there was only me attended and it was for 42 seconds, but it would appear in your chat. So it would tell you the name of the meeting and you'd be able to get things like who attended, what notes were taken. There's an option for a recap. So if it's been recorded, you can play it back and you can also access the full transcription from there as well.
Fantastic. That's really helpful. I'm just having a quick look at the other questions that came in earlier, if there's any others that you think that are worth picking up on?
One that was I've just spotted. Can you use Teams with clients that don't have the Teams app? The answer is yes, you can. Um, Especially for meetings, be it video or audio, as long as they've got a web browser, you can open Teams in the browser. You don't need the app to be able to run meetings with people.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. I think one of the other questions, and hopefully, having seen all the incredible functionality and capability that it has, any particular top tips to promote Teams to partners or other colleagues who might be nervous about a different way of working? I guess sometimes people are worried that if you've got this going on and you've also got things pinging into your inbox, people worry where they are, and goodness knows what other case management systems.
Yes, it is something that's raised an awful lot of, are you actually just giving me somewhere else to go and look for messages? What we tend to say with that is, wherever possible, if you keep chat for the non-client and matter related internal messages, it lets you create a separation. So your inbox is for external, for your client and matter related work. Teams chat is for all the internal ad hoc messages of, are you around later this week? For those sorts of messages that just get lost in people's inbox. And I sell it of the thing of, it lets you separate those two out.
Yeah, that certainly seems very sensible to me. And I have to say, one of the things that's been a real takeaway for me today has been the channels function as well, and that ability. And I think, yes, I could see how it could cut down some of my inbox and things. My IT people are always constantly saying, could I get rid of some of my emails? And I think a lot of that stuff could nicely sit within a channels.
Yeah,
Also, of course,
yeah,
the main point of that being that hugely collaborative element, which I think is the key to so much of the way that we work these days, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of our customers and especially for us at Kiss, that the amount of internal email now is minimal. Um, and yeah, your mailbox then becomes almost I've got control of it again because I know what's in there. All the internal chatter, I know it's in Teams and I can separate the two.
Yeah, and I certainly love the idea of, sort of being able to have, say, I think you mentioned like a Wellbeing Wednesday and a particular thing goes out on
Yeah,
that particular channel. I thought that was a really interesting way of, using some of those internal communications. Right, I'm just having a quick look through the remainder of those questions. I don't think we've got any more in on the live inbox. If there was anything else that had jumped out on you, as I say, I think the majority of the ones that we've had in have been answered as we have gone along. I mean, I think there were one which was, what are the benefits of using Teams over Zoom meetings? I think is that collaborative working piece, isn't it? And the fact
absolutely.
that it
Yeah,
links into the wider Microsoft Substack.
yes, yeah, absolutely. Zoom it's an excellent video conferencing meeting tool, but Teams does take it to that next level, exactly as you say, of it seamlessly integrates with Office, with your Outlook calendar and everything else, and being able to collaboratively work on files together.
It's wonderful. Right, I think we're 2 minutes past two. We've kept a lot of people on until this point, so I'm assuming that hopefully you've all enjoyed it and you've learned something. We have recorded this session and we will send it to you, and I hope you found it useful. And hopefully it also means that if you want to go and explore some of this functionality, you'll be able to replay certain sections of this, and James will be able to walk you through it. Yeah, all that remains is to say thank you very much, James. I found that particularly helpful.
Excellent.
I know Claire has too, so we're going to be certainly be putting some of this into place at Bristol Law Society. And just again to remind you all that we've got our next session with Quiss Technology on the 20th of November, and that is going to be on SharePoint. So again, picking up on this theme of collaboration, do join us then. We'll be getting the details of that sent out in the next few days. It'll be on our website and on our newsletter. But as a previous attendees, an attendee of this webinar as well today, we'll make sure that's sent to you direct. But I think you'll also find there's a feedback form coming to you. Please do let us have your feedback. They're really important. And then if there's any other issues that have arisen as a result of what you've heard today, then please let us know. And we can always put you in touch with the team at Kiss if you need any more assistance. Anything else finally from you, James?
No, that's everything. Exactly as you say. If you do have any queries, feel free to contact us at KISS, and we can advise or even offer some technical assistance if needed.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming today. And yeah, have a good afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.